What's up, guys? Welcome to the Daily Beltway Weekly Recap. It's our new Sunday show where we take a full look back at the week's biggest stories across America and the world. So tonight's stream is going to be a little bit different. It's different from the reels that you guys have been seeing. We're playing the full-length YouTube versions of all the news stories from Daily Beltway from this past week. It's uncut, uninterrupted, and in the original format. So you've only caught the quick clips. This is your chance to see everything in context. And before we kick off, make sure you guys are subscribed to YouTube at Daily Beltway. It's down on the bottom there for all the good spelling, and also for TikTok at Daily Beltway for daily updates, behind the scenes coverage, and breaking news straight from Washington. And if you're watching on Facebook, hit that follow button and send stars to support the show, because every comment, every like, and every star helps this program grow and keeps us completely independent. Now let's talk about what we have coming up today, because this week it's been pretty wild. We're starting right here in Chicago, where Border Patrol agents were ambushed in Little Village during an immigration sweep. Federal officers fired on in broad daylight. Then we move over to Broadview, where police arrested multiple protesters outside an ICE facility after they blocked access. There was a bunch of moms that were chained together, and they're arresting moms. It's typical garbage. All while President Trump made it clear that those undermining federal enforcement will face consequences. Make sure you guys hit the comments and send in some super chats and all the other good stuff. I'll see the comments as they're scrolling through. I'll try to say hi. So you guys have also seen the stolen ambulance chase through Chicago's west side. It's a dangerous pursuit that ended with police ramming the vehicle to protect the public. Then in New York City, Socialist Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani announced plans to seize private property from landlords, and his remarks set off national outrage about the attack on private ownership. And across the border in Mexico City, President Claudia Sheinbaum said fighting the cartels with force is fascist? Anyways, that sparked some global debate about sovereignty and security. And back in Washington, James Carville admitted Democrats' plans to expand the Supreme Court if they retake power in 2028, confirming what conservatives have warned about for years. And finally, a powerful moment overseas while World War II veteran Alec Penstone declared that the sacrifice wasn't worth the results it is now. It's a heartbreaking reminder of how far the West has drifted from the values his generation fought to protect, plus a whole bunch of other stories. And guys, we've got all of it back to back, no interruptions, so grab a coffee, drop a comment to tell us where you're watching from, and let's go ahead and dive right in. What if I told you that thousands of people on the terror watch list were handed government IDs under Joe Biden's watch? And that's not speculation, it's been confirmed. And Secretary Kristi Noem says Elon Musk's Government Efficiency Task Force uncovered over 6,000 names tied to terror and criminal databases, and all of them were granted Social Security numbers. And the worst part, they were discovered months after Biden left office. And all of this is happening when people are giving Trump such a hard time for trying to deport people. We don't know who they are or what they're doing. They have no idea, guys. And this isn't just bureaucratic failure, it's a national security breach. So how deep does this go, and who signed off on it? I'm pretty sure it was the auto pen. So do you guys think that those responsible should face criminal charges? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments, because I say they all should. So let's go ahead and dig into what Kristi Noem revealed and what the Trump administration is doing to fix it. So my name is Tom, I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, and share buttons, because we need all the help to grow, guys. We're a growing channel, and even the share is such a big deal. It helps those metrics significantly. And give us a follow. So Secretary Kristi Noem sat down on Fox and Friends with the revelation that stunned even the hosts. She confirmed that over 6,000 individuals on the terror watch list were issued Social Security numbers under the Biden administration. Take a look.
He's brilliant. He's going to be working to make sure that individuals who got Social Security numbers in this country should be using them for the right things, and they shouldn't be on our benefit programs. You know, we have over 6,000 individuals that have been identified through their work already that have been on the terrorist watch list, that they are known criminals.
How does that happen, Madam Secretary? How does that happen?
It happens when you put a train wreck like Joe Biden in the White House, and it's going to be a lot of work to clean it up. But just in the last 4.5 years, we've had over 9 million people get Social Security numbers that are not U.S. citizens. So they may be people who have some sort of legal status, but a lot of them are illegals that were given a Social Security number in just the last 4.5 years.
And you want to know why the Social Security has been overloaded and they say that the fund is going to run out? It's because millions and millions and millions and millions of people are drawing on those funds, and they're not putting any money back into it. And that's money that's meant for your grandma, yourself if you're retired. All of this money is coming out of your pocket and your family's pocket and those that need this cash. And that's why the money is disappearing. It's because millions of people are taking money from this that have no business being here. That's not including the ones that are on the terror watch list, apparently. But think about it for your grandma when they're worried about, if it was $300 a month, it should be $600. Think about that. We're going to continue. My apologies.
That we're going to have to figure out if they should be here, if they are here legally under a program, and if they are here illegally, then they certainly shouldn't be using that Social Security number to be on our programs, and they should be removed or given the opportunity to go home on their own. That's the one.
So that clip said everything. The discovery came from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE. A data-driven task force created to root out waste, fraud, and security failures. And within months, Musk engineers found what years of bureaucrats ignored: known risks sitting comfortably inside of America's benefit system. So I want you guys to tell me this. What do you think? Should the system responsible for approving these Social Security numbers be fully dismantled? I want to know your thoughts in the comments, because I think it should be. I think there needs to be more safety checks on things. Let me know how you would fix it or what your thoughts are on the process. And this is where everything changes. The DOGE task force, led by venture capitalist Antonio Gracias, linked the FBI, DHS, and Social Security databases with AI to detect anomalies in real time. And what they found was shocking: that thousands of records tied to terror database slipping through unchecked, thanks to weak Biden-era parole programs and humanitarian waivers. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. Now the Trump administration is shutting it down. DOGE is auditing every prior approval, revoking illegal Social Security numbers, and enforcing new biometric screening. Critics are saying that it's harsh, but supporters, like myself, say it's the first real fix in decades. And if you guys got value from this news update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. That is just trash. And this story matters because it proves what conservatives have said all along. Weak leadership invites danger. 6,000 people that we know of, not including the ones that got away, these are watch list names inside of our Social Security system. That's not a glitch, folks. That's negligence. And Elon Musk's DOGE unit is doing what Washington refused to do: protect the republic with real accountability. And Noam isn't grandstanding. She's cleaning house, as everybody should be. Everybody's losing their minds over what they're doing. This is upholding law that's been in effect for hundreds of years. And just because somebody goes on CNN or MSNBC and they say, oh no, this is against the Constitution, they're full of it. They could say that all they want. It doesn't matter, because it's not true. And every American who works, pays taxes, and follows the law deserves a system that does the same. And that's what this administration is restoring: strength, order, and responsibility. We can't afford another Biden-style government asleep at the wheel, guys. So stay alert, stay informed, and always stay proud of our nation and our republic. Again, guys, gunfire erupted in broad daylight as federal agents were ambushed in the streets of Chicago. And what was supposed to be a routine immigration operation erupted into chaos when Border Patrol officers came under attack in Little Village. A black Jeep sped toward them, and within seconds, live rounds ripped through the air as agents dove for cover. Crowds turned hostile, hurling bricks and paint at their vehicles before police rushed in. No agents were hurt, but the suspect, of course the suspect, got away. And this isn't just a local story. It's proof that America's sanctuary policies have become a threat to law and order itself. And Trump's team is calling it a deliberate ambush, and they're not wrong. But the big question is, how many more times will federal officers be targeted before local leaders take responsibility? And I want you guys to let me know in the comments, should federal agents pull out of sanctuary cities or double their presence? I'm all for doubling the presence, because them removing these people is what I voted for. And what happens next will change everything for our nation. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. So what unfolded in Chicago's Little Village wasn't just violence, it was a direct challenge to federal authority inside of our own republic. And folks, don't forget, we're a growing channel, and your support helps us keep reporting the stories that the mainstream media is ignoring. So make sure you hit that like, drop a comment, and make sure you are subscribed so this kind of truth actually reaches people. So here's what you guys need to see. It's Border Patrol agents in the middle of a lawful operation suddenly came under fire. Check this out.
Breaking news out of Chicago. Customs and Border Protection says agents were shot at while conducting an immigration enforcement operation earlier today. It comes amid weeks of rising tensions between protesters and federal authorities over the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration. Christina Coleman is covering this developing story for us. Christina.
Hi, John. Right now, authorities are searching for whoever fired shots at federal agents conducting immigration enforcement today in Chicago. The shooting is another brazen act of violence against federal authorities carrying out the president's crackdown on illegal immigration. DHS says Border Patrol was conducting immigration enforcement operations near 26th Street and Kedzie Avenue in Chicago.
You know, when Mayor Brandon Johnson called police scum or a disease that needs to be eradicated, this is what happens when your local leaders say this is allowed to happen. This is what happens.
When an unknown male suspect driving a black Jeep fired shots at agents and fled the scene. They say some agitators also threw a paint can and bricks at Border Patrol's vehicles. So disturbing. Chicago police were called in for assistance and cleared the scene. Authorities referred to this as a dynamic situation. DHS released a statement following the violence, saying, quote, "This incident is not isolated and reflects a growing and dangerous trend of violence and obstruction. Over the past 2 months, we've seen an increase in assaults and obstruction targeting federal law enforcement during operations. These confrontations highlight the dangers our agents face daily and the escalating aggression toward law enforcement. The violence must end." And
so according to DHS, a black Jeep sped towards the convoy, and somehow somebody inside leaned out, firing as bricks and paint cans rained down from nearby crowds. The agents took cover behind their vehicles while police raced to the scene. No officers were struck, but the situation could have turned deadly in seconds. Now here's where the story takes a turn. Instead of condemning the ambush, Governor Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson are blaming the federal government for escalating tensions. And imagine that. Federal officers attacked in broad daylight, and the people in charge of the city and the state defend the environment that created it. Disgusting. So let me know in the comments. Do you think that these leaders are protecting citizens or protecting chaos? I think I know my answer, but I want to hear yours. So this was all part of Operation Midway Blitz, a Trump administration effort targeting repeat immigration offenders hiding in sanctuary cities. And it's been effective. More than 1,000 arrests in Chicago alone. But that success has triggered outrage from local officials who'd rather preserve their political talking points than cooperate with law enforcement. This is where it all changes. DHS now confirms additional agents and air units will be deployed nationwide to secure sanctuary region. Trump's team says that the ambush proves the need for stronger interior enforcement and harsher penalties for attacks on federal officers. And also don't forget, guys, that the Supreme Court just ruled that he could do all of this under the Alien Enemies Act. He can invoke it. It's perfectly good, as we knew all along. The Department of Homeland Security calls it a battle for the rule of law within America's own borders. And if you guys stand with the men and women protecting this republic, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. My opinion on what this means for our country is next. So this ambush should be a wake-up call for every American who still believes our republic can survive without borders. When agents are attacked in broad daylight and city leaders are blaming the ICE agents, you guys know that the system is broken. Chicago's Sanctuary Shield has become a refuge for lawlessness. The Trump administration is doing what Washington failed to do for years, like restore respect for the rule of law. And if our federal officers aren't safe on U.S. streets, neither are we. So the next time a governor or mayor claims sanctuary policies make us safer, remember what happened in Little Village and all over the country and in other places where people weren't lucky enough to not get hurt. And it's time to stand with the men and women who stand between order and anarchy. America's future depends on it. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and God bless. Chicago's West Side turned into a live-action movie when a man stole an ambulance and tore through the city streets. The video of it is wild. Police raced to stop him as a massive rig slammed into squad cars and civilians fled for safety. It ended only when officers rammed the vehicle to protect everybody around them. They're doing their job. 7 people were hurt, but none lost their lives thanks to the quick action of law enforcement. And while residents cheered the bravery of Chicago's police, many are asking how this could happen under a city leadership that promised reform and safety. Mayor Brandon Johnson's silence after the chaos speaks volumes, and what happens next changes everything for how police are allowed to respond in the city of Chicago. I want you guys to let me know in the comments, would you have wanted officers to hold back, or do you think that they did exactly what needed to be done? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments, and let's go ahead and get into it. So my name is Tom, I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And folks, we're a growing channel. Every like, comment, share, and subscription helps us keep bringing the truth to light. So make sure you guys share, and subscribe. So go ahead and check this out. It's dramatic footage from the chase shows a stolen red and white ambulance blasting down West Jackson as squad cars close in, and they get this guy.
We are on the city's west side. There is a pursuit of an ambulance that, according to the Chicago Police Department dispatch, has been stolen from Loretto.
Let me know in the comments, who steals ambulances? I want to hear your thoughts.
Hospital. So I want to start you off from what we heard about 5 minutes ago. CPD dispatch a 10-1. That is a call for officer in distress. They said that an ambulance was stolen from Loretto Hospital, which is on the city's far west side by Central and Jackson. It's now traveling in the wrong direction of Chicago. It is heading eastbound in westbound traffic, and you can see cars will be coming at it. We've got to warn everybody here. We've got a real high chance of a collision at the end of this. A meeting right there, and the ambulance just hit the squad. So the ambulance just hit a Chicago squad head on. We've got the person out. Chicago, they are tackling this person. We've got a half a dozen squads here. We are at Chicago, and we are just west of Cicero Avenue. Let's widen out if we can, Max. This is a 10-1 call. There are a lot of cops that have come in here. So we've got about a dozen Chicago squads here. Now, if you can see to the left there, Max, we've got an officer down. An officer appears to be limping away from the scene.
Wow. That's some bravery to put your vehicle in front of a speeding, I would assume, multi-thousand-pound car, knowing you're about to get hurt. So that was a lot of bravery. Thank you in the comments, and thank him. So the pursuit started outside the Loretto Hospital when a man jumped into an idling rig. A paramedic barely escaped, leaping from the back as it sped off. For the next 30 minutes, police from Cicero and multiple Chicago districts coordinated over shared radio channels to contain the threat. At West Jackson and South Central, the ambulance collided with patrol cars positioned to block it, injuring officers who refused to move from their posts. God bless you guys. One broke his collarbone, another one blacked out. Still, they finished the job. And what stands out the most is not the chaos, but the courage. These men and women put their lives between danger and innocent people, yet they work in a city that too often ties their hands. Under Mayor Johnson's policies, pursuits are restricted, morale is down, and recruitment has plummeted to a 30-year low. Instead of standing with the people and the police, leadership blames systems and equity gaps. Meanwhile, criminals know the odds of being chased are very slim. But here's the part that they never expected. When real danger hit, Chicago's officers didn't wait for permission. They acted. And their decisive move saved lives. If you guys got value from this news update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. Who the heck steals an ambulance? Seriously. And Chicago's ambulance chase shows a clash between political theory and real-world reality. Paper policies from City Hall don't stop moving threats. Brave officers do that. The Republic depends on law and order, and that means letting police enforce it without fear of punishment for doing their jobs. The men and women who wear the badge deserve leaders who back them, not lecture them. This wasn't about optics or slogans. It was about survival and keeping people safe. And if Brandon Johnson truly wants safer streets, he should start by standing with those who risk everything for strangers. America's major cities must choose, protect ideology or protect their citizens. I think we all agree, protect citizens. So let me know what you think. Has Chicago finally hit its breaking point, or can it still turn things around? And don't forget to subscribe and follow and share this report, and always stay tuned for more from the Daily Beltway. God bless. What began as a routine cargo flight from Louisville, Kentucky, ended in fire and devastation just seconds after takeoff. UPS Flight 2976, a McDonnell Douglas MD-11 freighter bound for Honolulu, Hawaii, erupted into flames on runway 17, its left engine visibly on fire as a jet tried to lift off. The shocking video now circulating online captures the entire sequence, a wall of flame, an aborted climb, and an impact beyond the runway. It's some of the most intense aviation footage we've ever seen, and yet behind every frame there are families waiting for answers. Tonight, the investigators are piecing together what went wrong while the city is grieving. So my name is Tom. I'm with Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And we're bringing you verified details tonight from officials on the ground in Louisville, Kentucky. UPS flight number 2976 departed just after 5 p.m. local time. Witnesses reported flames trailing from the left engine almost immediately after rotation. Let's get to the video, guys. It's sad.
Bro, get the fuck away from here, turn around. Bro, no, hold on. I think it's gonna crash, bro. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Damn, they're dead. They are dead, bro.
I'm sorry for the language.
¡Oh, my God!
Ay, pinga.
¡Corre para atrás, papi! ¿Viste? Te lo estoy diciendo, Dios mío.
Ay, pinga.
¡Ay, Dios mío!
Pero qué pinga.
Ay.
Vamos a ver.
Papi, cuidado.
Espérate.
¡Ay, Dios mío, señor!
Pinga, hacer. Cojones.
Mira la cantidad de gente cogiendo candela, papi.
No, pinga.
My heart goes out to the families. The footage shows MD-11 straining to climb, gear still extended, as smoke thickens along the fuselage. Seconds later, the aircraft veers off the runway 17 and disappears behind warehouses, followed by a massive explosion and a rising black plume. Fire crews reached the scene within minutes, battling jet fuel fires that spread across industrial lots from Fern Valley Road. 3 crew members are unaccounted for tonight: Captain Mark Smith, First Officer Laura Chen, and Flight Engineer David Ruiz, all longtime UPS pilots with thousands of hours of flight hours. So the Federal Aviation Administration and the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, have confirmed an in-flight engine fire as the leading cause. Aviation analysts note that MD-11s, while reliable, require precise balance and thrust control during takeoff. At full load, losing an engine seconds after liftoff leaves pilots with almost no options. Louisville's Fire Chief Brian O'Neill described the crash zone as a corridor of destruction, but credited responders for preventing a wider catastrophe. Hospitals across the city treated more than 24 people for burns and smoke inhalation, and UPS has temporarily grounded its MD-11 fleet for inspection, and federal investigators have recovered the flight data recorders as it's being reported. Memorials are growing tonight near the UPS Worldport, the massive hub employing more than 20,000 Kentuckians. Candles, photos, and handwritten notes line the perimeter fence, small gestures of respect for a crew that never made it home. For this community, the sound of aircraft overhead will carry new meaning for a long time to come. So if you guys found this report informative, please subscribe and share. Coverage like this keeps stories of courage and professionalism in the public eye. So sad, guys. The images from Louisville are difficult to watch. A reminder that flight, though routine, is never without risk. And these were trained professionals operating within moments of impossible choices. And their final act was service, moving the goods that keep our country running. Tonight, as investigators sift through the debris and families wait for confirmation, the nation's thoughts should be with them. In every cockpit, there's a quiet promise of trust between the crew, the craft, and the people on the ground who depend on them. So may we honor that promise with gratitude, vigilance, and prayer for those. It's sad. And prayer for those that we've lost. God bless them. They swore an oath to protect us, but instead they protected the cartels and the poison. Federal prosecutors just charged 20 people, including 14 current and former law enforcement officers. They were accused of helping the very forces spreading poison to our towns and our children. This wasn't negligence, this was betrayal. And wait until you guys hear how far it went. And the FBI says these officers used their uniforms and patrol cars to shield the poison's path, guarding shipments while families grieved the damage that it caused. So tell me this, what happens to a nation when those meant to defend it join the enemy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And can America still trust the badge? I don't know if they can in Mississippi. Let's go ahead and break it down. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. If you guys are new here, please hit that subscribe button. We're growing fast, and every like, comment, and sub helps us expose the truth the corporate media wants to bury. Give us a share, too. That's a very important metric. So federal prosecutors just revealed what they're calling Operation River Shadow, a massive takedown of officers accused of betraying their oath and protecting the poison flowing through the Mississippi Delta into Tennessee and other states across this nation. Let's go ahead and check this out.
2-year investigation into a drug trafficking organization in North Mississippi comes to an end.
And that led to almost a dozen arrests. The Marshall County Sheriff's Department, along with U.S. Marshals, say the group was responsible for distributing pounds of meth, cocaine, and other controlled substances in Marshall, DeSoto, Lafayette, and Benson counties in Mississippi. 11 federal arrest warrants were served, and the suspects had a court appearance at the federal courthouse in Oxford.
Real quick, a lot of you guys make fun of me for drinking a lot during the videos. I had a bad throat surgery. I almost died, and my throat locks up sometimes, so I have to drink quite frequently. Going to continue.
We're here today to talk about some incredibly serious allegations that mark it's just a monumental betrayal of public trust. That's what we're talking about here today. We're here today to announce the indictment and arrest of 20 individuals, most of them law enforcement officers in the Mississippi Delta region. The indictments generally allege the taking of bribes to attempt to aid and abet drug trafficking, as well as associated crimes.
These are the same people that respond to when people are ODing or they're dying of whatever. And these are the same people that see the consequences of what they're allowing into the neighborhoods and to the kids. They took bribes and said, yeah, it's fine.
Involves a conspiracy whereby law enforcement officers and their accomplices are alleged to have agreed to provide safe passage for illegal narcotics and drug proceeds to the Mississippi Delta region, and ultimately on the last of those runs into Memphis itself. And they did this in return for bribe payments, for money. They are also indicted for related firearms offenses and, of course, individual counts related to specific runs throughout the Mississippi Delta.
I hope to God they throw the book at these people and they spend the rest of their lives in prison rotting for what they did. The indictments list 14 officers, including 2 sheriffs, accused of selling their loyalty and escorting shipments under the protection of the badge. In some cases, these officers allegedly used their patrol vehicles to clear the roads and ensure the poison made it through without interruption. I can't even process that. According to federal, that's like a bad movie. It is. It's got to be like the plot of 100 bad movies. You're working with the cartel, paying off dirty cops, and then you're just unaliving tens of thousands of Americans because of what you're doing. Yeah. According to federal investigators, undercover agents posed as couriers and captured the entire network on camera. Officers taking envelopes of cash, coordinating routes, and protecting convoys. I want you guys to think about that. These men carried the same badges children in their towns were taught to trust and used them to protect the very poison destroying their friends' lives. An FBI official said the investigation began when legitimate sources complained about having to pay tolls to pass through local checkpoints, like bribes demanded by those wearing the uniform. And imagine how deep the rot must go when even criminals grow tired of the corruption. The criminals turned them in. The human cost is heartbreaking, guys. Communities across the Delta have lost hundreds of lives to this poison. Families now wonder if loved ones would still be here had the officers done their jobs. And tell me this, do you guys believe this kind of betrayal is limited to Mississippi, or do you think it's happening across America? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have any evidence, I would love to maybe do a video about it and send something off to the White House when I go out there. Anyways, Governor Tate Reeves called the arrest a gut punch to public trust. Federal agents say some of the accused even used department-issued firearms while working for the very networks spreading poison in their own town. And this is where it all changes, because this isn't a scandal, it's a mirror. When the prosecutors side with poison, justice itself is under attack. So if you guys got value from this update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. This should piss everybody off and make everybody stop and think. Our Republicans survive bad policy and weak leadership, sure, but it cannot survive betrayal from within. The Biden administration will claim credit for cleaning this up, of course, because they're the ones that let this thing go into it. But Trump is not playing games, guys. As you can see, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and all these guys, they're literally rocking these dudes. They saw this, boom, they're not afraid to pull the trigger on it. This rot infestered under years of broken priorities, open borders, and leadership that rewarded politics instead of principle. And good officers are the backbone of our country, but the bad ones are the ones that tear it apart. Because when the poison spreads with police protection, it's not just corruption, it's surrender. We need more moral courage, not careerists. We need protectors who stand for truth and not for payoffs. And that's how we save our country. That's how we save our republic. So stay alert, stay informed, and stay free. And share this video because this is garbage. And if this is happening near you, I want to hear about it. I got plenty of friends, and I'm happy to share that around. I want to end this stuff. Let's do it. New York just elected its first socialist mayor, and even CNN couldn't spin it. During the live election coverage, a CNN panel admitted on air that the Socialist Party is taking over the Democrat Party. And you know what? That's not even the worst part of this. Because while voters were distracted by the drama, Democrats quietly timing government shutdowns to spike turnout and paint Republicans as villains just before Election Day. It's a political playbook that blends economic chaos with emotional manipulation. And guess what? It worked. The party of JFK, once about growth and strength, is now about redistribution and resentment. Democrats constantly say, I didn't leave the party left me. They're not wrong. So I want you guys to tell me this in the comments. Do you think Democrats intentionally weaponized the shutdown to rally their base? I think they did. But let me know your thoughts in the comments because this story is about to get much deeper. Let's go ahead and get into it. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And guys, we're a growing conservative news channel, and every like, comment, and subscription helps us reach more Americans who care about truth over spin. So give us a follow and give us a share. On election night, as results rolled in from New York City, CNN's own commentators admitted what's been obvious for years. The Democrat Socialists of America have taken control of the Democrat Party. Let's go ahead and get to it.
The story for tonight is actually that the Socialist Party is taking over the Democrat Party. And you know what? It was Andrew Cuomo. It was Kathy Hochul. It were the Democrats that were so afraid of their shadow, so afraid of the radical left. People like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez kept moving to satisfy them. And now
it was because the aging senators were scared of the new people and did not understand social media. That is how the communists and the socialists got into the government. That's how it happened. They let it happen because they were scared to alienate the 18 to 24-year-old voter base that they used the college professors to radicalize. Let's continue.
they've been eaten alive. So this is a lesson for the Democrat Party. They should have fought for their party. They never fought for their party. They catered to the radical left. And now we're going to see, by the way, for people who think that they're voting for affordability here with Mamdani, a guy who believes in socialism, we're going to learn the hard way in New York City what socialism is. Your taxes will go up. And if you pay property taxes, you won't be able to afford to live in your home. And if you guess what, you rent, it's going to be passed on to you in the form of your rent. Yeah. Mandates, fees, regulations, surcharges. We've seen it in this state, in this city, under one-party rule for the last decade. It costs money. It gets passed on to you. So if you think you're going to get a free ride with Mamdani, you're going to learn the hard way.
That's why the answer to it.
I wonder if they're going to fire her after that. So that viral clip exploded across social media, hitting nearly 1 million views overnight on just one post. But while CNN analysts wrung their hands about ideology, the real game was already underway. Democrats had engineered the shutdown calendar to align perfectly with key state elections. And they're already talking about voting today to make this thing open. It's like Chuck Schumer said, let's vote Wednesday to open the government. Everybody needs to shut up and hold on for this election because they needed the base to turn out. Sources inside Capitol Hill confirmed the timing wasn't coincidence. By refusing to pass a continuing resolution, party leaders triggered government furloughs that dominated headlines and framed conservatives as obstructionists just as absentee ballots were dropping. And the result? Progressive turnout in blue strongholds surged by double digits. And this is where everything changes. Democrats learned that chaos pays. By stoking outrage over the shutdown, they drove emotional voting, energized young activists, and painted every Republican as an extremist blocking paychecks and aid. Gaslighting much? Meanwhile, moderates like Andrew Cuomo, well, I guess he's a moderate now, in New York, Zohran Mamdani's victory speech wasn't subtle. He declared housing will be free and promised to tax millionaires at 2%. This isn't Kennedy's America anymore, guys. Not even a little bit. So if you got value from this update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. So what we're witnessing isn't a fluke. It's a strategy, one that they executed perfectly. And the Democrats learned that controlled crisis equals controlled votes. They create the problem, they delay the fix, and then campaign on the pain that they caused. The socialist takeover isn't just about ideology, it's about power. And CNN admitting it on air means that even the mainstream media cannot hide it anymore. For conservatives, this is a wake-up call. We either defend the republic through discipline and turnout, or the left will rewrite America's future city by city. Because JFK's party may be dead, but the republic doesn't have to be. Stay informed. God bless. The Broadview ICE facility outside of Chicago just became ground zero for major showdown. And this time it's not just activists facing handcuffs. President Trump has signaled that federal prosecutors will begin arresting lawmakers who openly work to obstruct immigration enforcement, a move aimed squarely at city and state officials undermining national law. It's a stunning escalation after days of chaos at Illinois detention centers where protesters tried to physically block federal agents from doing their jobs. And now Illinois law enforcement is flipping the script. They're actually sending police officers not to protect the protesters, but to stop them. So what really happened at Broadview, and how far is Trump willing to go to restore law and order? Let's go ahead and break down how the administration just put the entire sanctuary state machine on notice. And what do you guys think about actual Illinois and J.B. Pritzker actually arresting these protesters? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. So let's go ahead and get into it. My name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And guys, we're a growing channel, and every like, comment, and subscription helps us fight back against the media spin and censorship. So give us a like, a follow, and a comment. So Friday's confrontation at the Broadview ICE facility wasn't a protest. It was an illegal blockade. Dozens of demonstrators linked arms across the facility entrance, refusing to move even after repeated police warnings. And the result was arrests, chaos, and yet another example of left-wing activism crossing the line from expression to obstruction. Check this out.
Got some new video. This is Broadview, Illinois, and Friday morning has been the time when...
As you guys are watching this, let me know what you notice about the protesters. Let me know in the comments.
Well, you get scenes like this. Officers arresting anti-ICE protesters appear to be holding a sit-in, obviously, here. This is outside the ICE facility. It's been going on for some time. You're about 25 minutes due west of Chicago.
What do you notice?
Our
Look at the rest of the
Mike
crowd.
Tobin is there all day, and we'll check in with him.
as these events unfold there.
I guess they don't have jobs to get to. Officers methodically lifted protesters off the ground, zip-tying them one by one as they shouted and kicked. Illinois State Police confirmed at least a dozen arrests for disorderly conduct and obstruction of a public way. Superintendent Chris Graham said officers were restoring lawful access to a federal facility, and this time they had the backing of Springfield and Washington. President Trump recently addressed these types of incidents in a statement, calling it a direct attack on federal sovereignty. He went further, saying that the Department of Justice is now reviewing charges against state and local officials who actively interfere with federal immigration operations. And that includes Chicago's leadership, and several Illinois lawmakers publicly encouraged activists to resist ICE. This marks a major shift in approach, as for years sanctuary city policies have shielded illegal entrants and tied the hands of law enforcement. But now even local agencies are stepping in. And Chicago police and Cook County sheriff's deputies are no longer standing down. They're coordinating with federal agents to stop violent demonstrations and protect critical facilities. And this is where it all changes. What began as a symbolic resistance has turned into a law enforcement test case for the entire country. Trump's Justice Department has quietly drafted new guidelines allowing federal marshals to detain public officials who violate 8 U.S. Section C-1324, laws against harboring or aiding illegal entrance. And while progressive media calls that authoritarian, the truth is much simpler. It's the law. Like, federal law and the Supremacy Clause and all these other things, and every official swears an oath to uphold it. And those who openly defy that oath, whether in City Hall or on a protest line, are choosing politics over our republic. So the message from Washington is clear. Federal authority isn't an option, and law enforcement will not be handcuffed by activists in vests. If you guys got value from this report, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. So the Broadview arrests mark a turning point, not just in Illinois, but across our nation. For too long, political politicians, not like people that are actual politicians that are doing the job of the people, but like political-ended people. They've treated federal law like a suggestion. They built sanctuary zones where lawbreakers were protected and law enforcement was vilified. But that era is hopefully ending. President Trump's message couldn't be clearer. Cities and states that obstruct national security will face consequences. If lawmakers want to defy federal authority, they'll be held accountable, the same as anybody else, the same as me and you. And for once, Illinois police are on the right side of this fight, standing with federal agents instead of against them. Because real compassion doesn't come from ignoring the law, it comes from enforcing it. Again, guys, stay informed, stay free, and stay proud of this republic. God bless. And I hope to God they keep doing this. Governor Gretchen Whitmer just got audited, not by accountants, but by a podcaster. In a viral new episode of Financial Audit, Michigan's Democrat governor sat across from YouTuber Caleb Hammer, and it didn't go well for her. When Hammer pressed her on Michigan's no cash bail policy, like the one letting repeat offenders walk free, Whitmer, she froze. She tried to spin it as progress, but the data and the reaction tell a completely different story. And it gets worse, and nobody's talking about it. As the clip spread online, even lifelong Democrats in Michigan started questioning whether equity is worth sacrificing safety. So tell me this, guys. Would you trust a system that releases violent offenders without posting a dime? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's break down what really happened in that interview. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And if you guys are new here, please make sure to subscribe, because every like, comment, and subscription helps us grow and get the truth out. And sharing is a very important metric. Share, guys. Like, seriously, that helps more than you could ever understand. So here's the deal. Governor Gretchen Whitmer went on Caleb Hammer's show, Financial Audit, expecting a friendly talk about Michigan's economy. Instead, she got a wake-up call. Hammer confronted her head-on about the state's no-cash bail policy, the same one she proudly pushed since 2019. Check this out. It's a wonderful clip.
And now, in the state of Michigan, we are seeing Michigan Court Rule 6.106 provides that the default presumption is release on personal recognitions, which is no money bond, or on unsecured bond rather than cash bail. We are starting to see even a shooting that happened in Austin over the weekend was someone that has already had multiple violent offenses. We know that individuals with 3 to 10 violent crime convictions represent only 0.9% of the total population, but account for almost 50% of violent crime. And those who have been released from prison account for 70% were rearrested within 3 years. Is these no cash bail systems that, we're tending to see places like New York, New Jersey, Illinois, DC, and we talked about Michigan, is that actually benefiting people, or is it just Are we not keeping people safe like we want to?
I think, I'm proud of a lot of the trajectories that we're on in Michigan. I think that when it comes to the no cash bail, what we see is a situation where people without resources pay a much bigger penalty than those that do. Just one more example of it is in the criminal justice realm. Our recidivism rate is really low in Michigan.
So recidivism rate, I want to explain that real quick. It's how many is when somebody goes back to jail after they were arrested. That's recidivism, meaning like they get released, they go back out, they're either a productive member of society or they go back to prison. So recidivism means you're going back to prison. So she's talking about her recidivism rates are going down or whatever, but they're just not arresting people, and people are keep repeat offending.
That's good.
I'm proud of that. But certainly, there are always going to be examples of where someone is, not a part of the general rule and is an egregious example. And I think you've just raised a couple.
So that was like 38 seconds of her giving absolutely no answers. So in the clip, Hammer cites shocking numbers. Repeat offenders making up less than 1% of the population, yet responsible for nearly half of all crimes. And Whitmer tries to pivot, claiming recidivism rates is low, but the facts don't back her up at all. Michigan's Department of Corrections shows re-arrest rates around 66%. And that's not low, guys. That's a failure. And Hammer does not let her off the hook. I love his podcast. If you guys don't watch it, I watch it. Anytime I see him on TikTok, I watch it. On YouTube, I'll watch his shows. He's wonderful. He doesn't care about your feelings or whatever. If you're doing something stupid, he tells it to you. I love that guy. I mean, seriously, it's worth watching. If you're a snowflake or your feelings get hurt easily, maybe don't watch it because, accountability is different. But he brings up cases where suspects released under her new policy were later tied to new assaults, carjacking, and worse. And her response was a shrug of the line. There are always outliers. Like outliers. Tell that to the victims' families, guys. And after that exchange, Michigan voters lit up social media. Breitbart's clip of the interview pulled in 170,000 views in like an hour, and the comments section was brutal. People were saying Whitmer looked lost, out of touch, and very defensive. They're not wrong. Even some moderates said that the interview ended her presidential hopes. And here's where everything changes. This moment wasn't just about Whitmer's stumble. It revealed a bigger problem with the left's obsession over equity. They treat crime as a data point, not a danger. So Michigan's bail reforms have empty jails but filled headlines with new victims. In Detroit's carjackings were up 22%. And law enforcement groups say the policy handcuffs police more than the criminals. Of course it does. And Hammer asked her point blank if they stood by the system. She said yes. And that, folks, is the problem. So here's my question for you. Do Democrats like Whitmer actually believe these policies are working? Or are they too stubborn to admit that they failed? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you got value from this news update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. Yeah, I love that podcast. He is awesome. I would hate for him to go through my finances because he would just sit there and tell me I'm an idiot for buying too many Pokemon cards or whatever. So what we just saw in that podcast wasn't just a governor fumbling under pressure. It was a clear picture of what happens when political ideology replaces common sense. No cash bail was sold as fairness, folks, but fairness doesn't mean turning criminals loose while victims live in fear. And Governor Whitmer had a chance to admit her policy went too far, and she didn't take it. That's what separates real leaders from politicians chasing sound bites. And in this republic, justice is supposed to protect the innocent, not excuse the guilty. And Michigan's families deserve safety, not slogans. So do Illinois families and California families, all the states where no cash bail is in there. So if this story fired you guys up, please share it, hit like, and make sure you're subscribed. We need to keep holding leaders accountable because the truth still matters. So stay alert, stay free, and God bless. Before sunrise over California, the Pacific sky exploded in light, and it wasn't from more, but from power. The United States Air Force launched a Minuteman III ICBM from Vandenberg Space Force Base, marking the latest show of strength under the renewed Trump defense doctrine. And here's the thing, this wasn't a random test. It comes just days after President Trump vowed to restore full-spectrum nuclear readiness for America. And that's not even the most significant part of this, because this launch, seen for hundreds of miles, wasn't fired from a silo. It was commanded airborne, proving America can still strike even if the ground network goes dark. So tell me this in the comments. Do you guys think strong deterrence keeps peace, or does it risk escalation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because we try to read all of them. And so let's go ahead and unpack what happened. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And if you guys haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, because every like, comment, and subscription helps us grow with the fight against censorship of conservative voices. And sharing is such an important metric, guys. Share this report as much as you can. I appreciate it more than you could ever understand. So in the early hours of November 5th, the United States Air Force Global Strike Command executed a flawless test of the Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile, codenamed GT-254. The missile's bright tail streaked across the pre-dawn sky, visible from Santa Barbara all the way to Los Angeles. Let's check out the launch. The audio's kind of like iffy on it. It's a military video. I don't know what to tell you. There's some audio. I think it's pretty neat. Those things are nuclear bomb proof, which is wild. You see how thick that steel is? And we don't even know the size reference for it. It's got to be a couple feet thick. No, it's pretty, and for something that's that pretty, it's that wild, that dangerous. You know, that carries what, 6 to 12 warheads. That's insane. That it's pretty. It looks like a satellite launch, and you don't know it's about to end a continent. So that launch wasn't just a spectacle, it was a statement. For decades, the Minuteman III has stood as the silent guardian of our republic, capable of flight within 30 seconds, carrying the legacy of America's deterrence posture since the Cold War. And officials say the launch confirmed operational readiness across command and control systems. It even tested backup airborne launch protocols from a Navy ECB Mercury, verifying continuity if the primary system is ever compromised. I always stumble over the code names for airplanes or whatever. That's the kind of layered defense that keeps the peace. And here's a part that they never expected. This test also validated hardware that will feed directly into the next generation LGM-35A Sentinel system coming online in the next few years. So while critics talk about outdated weapons, America's already preparing for the future. And Lieutenant Colonel Carrie Ray called the mission a vital certification of accuracy and endurance. And she's not wrong. The Minuteman III is more than 50 years old, yet it still hits targets within a couple hundred meters of precision after traveling 4,000 miles. And that is reliability you can count on. I mean, those warheads are huge. I don't know if a couple miles makes the difference, but why not? So Russia and China are watching closely, and this test reminds them that America may be patient, but it is never weak. So if you got value from this news update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. So peace through strength isn't really a slogan, folks. It's a strategy. This launch proved that while others postured, the United States still leads. Under President Trump, our republic is reclaiming deterrence as a cornerstone of our stability. The world doesn't respect weakness at all. And when America's enemies see the fiery plume over the Pacific, they're reminded what happens when our resolve is tested. And the Minuteman III may be old, but its message is timeless. Freedom survives only when it is defended. And again, thanks for watching. So stay alert, stay patriotic, and God bless America. You know, we need this. We need strength, folks. A Democrat insider just admitted on tape exactly what the left plans to do to America's Supreme Court. And it's worse than anybody imagined. Veteran strategist James Carville didn't hint or speculate. He flat out guaranteed that Democrats will pack the Supreme Court with 4 new justices the moment they win in 2028. This isn't a conspiracy theory, folks. This is a Democrat operative with 4 decades of experience revealing their blueprint to seize control of our judicial system. He even said that he'd bet serious money on it happening. The same court that protects your constitutional rights, the final check on government overreach, Democrats are planning it to pack with partisan loyalists who will rubber stamp every radical policy that they dream up. And here's a plan that they just admitted to. Now, I want you guys to let me know in the comments, what do you think Democrats' real motivation is for packing the Supreme Court? Let me know your thoughts, and let's go ahead and get into this. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And if you guys are new here, please hit subscribe, because every like, comment, and share helps this channel grow so we can keep bringing you the facts that the mainstream media doesn't want to touch. Let's go ahead and get into this. It's Carville saying that. It's crazy.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. A Democrat is going to be elected in 2028. You know that. I know that. The Democratic president is going to announce a special transition advisory committee on the reform of the Supreme Court.
What do you think about that? Do you think that'll happen?
That's the president's warning on a filibuster. He's telling Republicans, do it now, change it now, because his warning is this is what Democrats are going to do, blow up the filibuster, change the number on the court, do the whole thing. There are a number of Democrat voices the last few years who have been saying this prominently. It's not just James Carville. We think about former Attorney General Eric Holder. A number of sitting lawmakers have said they want to change the makeup of the court. It's something I asked Justice Barrett about in a recent interview, and she said, listen, a lot of this stuff is set by the Constitution, but not all of it. Right. But judges should be free to do their jobs without worrying about political interventions.
So if the president's saying Democrats are going to blow up the filibuster if they win back Congress anyways, so Republicans might as well do it now, get the shutdown over with, and use it while you can.
Exactly. But as Senate Majority Leader John Thune said, the votes aren't there in my caucus. They all know what it's like to be on the minority and to only have that filibuster as your only tool, and they don't seem willing to give it up.
So a lot of people don't agree with what the Supreme Court's doing with the Trump rulings. They're reasserting executive control, and they rule against Trump just as much as they rule in favor. That's crazy stuff. So that's Carville himself, not a rumor. He says a Democrat president 2028 will form a blue ribbon committee to recommend adding 4 new justices, and a Democrat Congress will pass that. He even says that's going to happen, people. They're going to win, and they are going to do it. So let me ask you, how is this democracy? I want to know that. How can one side rewrite the rules of justice just because they lost a few rulings? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments, because conservatives are calling this a direct attack on independence of the judiciary, the very institution that protects our republic from political overreach. And Fox host Shannon Bream called it a judicial coup in plain sight. And Republican senators like John Thune and Ted Cruz says this confirms the left's real plan: eliminate the filibuster, pack the court, and lock in power for generations. And this is where it all changes. The last time a president tried this was in 1937, and that was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and even his own party revolted over it. And public outrage stopped it cold back then. So here's my challenge to you. Do Americans today still have the same backbone to defend our system? I want you to comment, stand for 9 if you believe 9 justices are enough. Because history shows once you open that door, it never closes. And if you got value from this report, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. So this kind of keeps me up at night. I don't think either party, Republican or Democrat, should ever have unlimited power. I think both parties should have an absolute check on it. I think a 2-party system's kind of rough. We should have multiple parties just to keep everybody else in balance. But the Supreme Court is there to control the president if he goes out of power, to control Congress when they go out of craziness, and to control these district judges when they make rulings that are insane, or you have states like Illinois, California, and others that are just doing insane things. The Supreme Court is the last institution standing between American citizens and unlimited government power. When Congress passes unconstitutional laws, the courts strike them down. When presidents overreach, including Trump, even if you don't like it, the court checks him. When states violate your rights, the court will protect you. That only works if the court remains independent from partisan politics. Democrats packing the court or Republicans packing the court with 4 additional loyal justices does not restore balances. It destroys the concept of judicial independence entirely. And future courts would just reflect whoever last controlled Washington, which is what we don't want. Your constitutional rights would depend on election results instead of foundational principles. Our founders designed our republic with separated powers specifically to prevent any faction, Republican, Democrat, whatever, from seizing total control. And Democrats are openly admitting they want to break that system. That's a problem. We need to believe them and act accordingly before it is too late. So stay vigilant, stay alert, and stay informed. God bless. America's skies are hanging on by a thread, and Washington Democrats are still playing games. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy just warned that major portions of U.S. airspace could shut down as early as next week if Democrats refuse to open the government. And here's the kicker. Rumors are flying that Democrats plan to delay any vote until after November 4th and the election, hoping that chaos with the SNAP benefits and the chaos with the airports will anger voters before key elections in New Jersey, Virginia, and New York. And that's not even the worst part, folks. Tens of thousands of air traffic controllers and TSA officers are currently working without pay as delays pile up and safety margins collapse. So tell me this, would Democrats really risk national safety to win an election? Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because this fight just went airborne. Let's go ahead and get into this. So my name is Tom, I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And if you guys are new here, please hit subscribe. Every like, comment, and share helps us keep bringing you guys the truth that the mainstream media just doesn't like talking about. So we've got Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy stood before cameras in Washington this morning, and he didn't mince words. He said if the shutdown continues, his department may be forced to close sections of America's airspace to prevent accidents caused by overworked, unpaid air traffic controllers. Check this out.
The controllers got 90% of one payment, 80 to 90% of one payment. They missed the second paycheck. On Thursday, they get an email pay stub that'll show what their next payment is going to be. So this Thursday, they'll get an email that shows that their pay stub is a big fat zero. Many of the controllers said, a lot of us can navigate missing one paycheck. Not everybody, but a lot of us can. None of us can manage missing 2 paychecks. So if you bring us
Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. How many of you can miss a single paycheck and still be okay? I don't think any of us can. I mean, I can't. I don't know about you guys, but let me know what your position is. And should the Democrats be forcing millions of government workers into this situation every month? It's outrageous.
To a week from today, Democrats, you will see mass chaos. You will see mass flight delays. You'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just cannot manage it because we don't have the air traffic controllers.
Absolutely disgusting. This whole thing could be prevented. So Duffy warned that 45,000 flights move across our skies every single day, but controller fatigue, unpaid overtime, and staffing gaps could soon make that impossible. And he said, we can't manage the system safely without funding, he stated. Meanwhile, congressional sources tell us U.S. Senate Democrats are privately saying that they're not going to reopen the government until after the November 4th elections. It's a calculated move to inflame public anger and sway tight contest in the Northeast. And the tactic that they're using, it's simple. Make voters suffer, then blame Republicans at the ballot box. So I want you guys to comment below. Do you think Democrats are playing politics with your travel plans and SNAP benefits and, everything else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments because this is where everything changes. Duffy isn't some career bureaucrat. He's calling out Schumer and Senate leadership directly, saying safety comes first, not party games. He's also meeting with airlines, unions, and governors to prepare emergency plans if parts of the airspace must close. And airlines warn of economic collapse if things drags on. Cargo stranded, flights canceled, families grounded, all before Thanksgiving. Meanwhile, Democrats continue to block clean funding resolutions. So if you guys got value from this news update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. This whole thing is avoidable. And out of all of my friends, I don't think I know maybe 4 that could survive 2 weeks without getting a paycheck. The rest, no chance, including myself. So this story isn't about airports, it's about accountability. When one party is willing to hold America's airspace hostage to save a few blue seats, it tells you everything about their priorities. Secretary Duffy is doing his job protecting safety, and he's not doing politics right now. But he's blaming Democrats, and they're proving that they're going to ground an entire republic just to score headlines and starve a bunch of people. It's disgusting. Americans deserve leaders who put country before campaign strategy. If you agree, share this video because silence in the skies shouldn't mean silence from the people. Stay alert, stay free, God bless. A century ago, Alec Penstone risked everything to defend Great Britain from tyranny, and now what he just said on television might put him in jail. Now at 100 years old, he says it feels like tyranny has returned, only this time it's flying its own flag. On national television, the Royal Navy veteran broke down saying that the sacrifice wasn't worth the result it is now. And you know what? He's right. In modern Britain, people are arrested for waving the Union Jack. Citizens are silenced for speaking out, while the government protects feelings instead of freedom. And that's not liberty, that's fear in a new uniform. And wait until you guys hear what this hero said that shook the world. So tell me this in the comments. Shouldn't every Western nation listen before it is too late? I want to hear your thoughts on that because I think everybody needs to hear this lesson. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And if you guys believe in the freedom of speech and the right to speak truth without punishment, make sure you guys hit like and subscribe and also leave a comment. It's how we keep this message alive. So when Alec Penstone spoke on Good Morning Britain, he didn't cry for his country, he cried for the free world. Sitting beneath bright studio lights, metal shining on his chest, he said the quiet part out loud, that the freedom he fought for has been an 85-year-old or a 90-year-old in Great Britain in a wheelchair for saying something against the immigrants. He was in a wheelchair. They picked up his wheelchair and stuck him in a squat. They just gave him a bunch of false platitudes. His words hit like a torpedo through the polite silence of modern Britain. We fought for our freedom, and he said, and it's worse now than when I fought for it. And he's right. In today's Britain, ordinary people are being questioned or even arrested for putting up a UK flag in their own window. Veterans are told that their patriotism might offend others, and they're being arrested for it. And across the Western world, from London to Toronto and to California, the same pattern is repeating itself. Governments talk about tolerance while cracking down on the very speech that built their republics. But here's the part that they didn't expect. This isn't coming from radicals. It's coming from men who stormed the beaches of Normandy. When the generation that defeated fascism say modern freedom feels darker than wartime Britain, it should stop every single politician in their tracks. But instead, the elites, they're shrugging. They censor online debate. They lecture citizens on acceptable expression and punish those who refuse to apologize for loving their country. And Penstone's message was simple. Freedom without courage means nothing. And right now, the Western world is running low on both. So if you got value from this news update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. So Alec Penston didn't risk his life so that Britain could become a place where flying its own flag is a crime. He fought so ordinary people could speak, worship, and live without fear. Today, those freedoms are slipping away, not from invasion, but from the cowardice of leaders who value political approval more than principle. Across the West, citizens are scared to say what they think. Patriotism is mocked, speech is policed, and truth is treated like hate. That's not progress, folks. It's surrender. If the free nations of this world want to stay free, they'd better start acting like it. And Alec Penston's generation gave everything. The question now is, will ours defend it? So again, this is Tom with the Daily Beltway. Don't forget that they fought for and never stopped speaking for the truth. God bless. American special forces and troops could soon be crossing into Mexico to target cartel leadership, according to NBC News. And that is what I voted for, guys. If you did, let me know in the comments, because that is what I voted for. NBC News just confirmed the Trump administration has green-lit advanced planning for a direct military strike on cartel networks and leadership operating south of the border. It's one of the boldest national security decisions in modern history, and Mexico's government is already furious. And wait till you hear the part that they said next. Supporters are calling it overdue justice, like myself, and critics are calling it reckless. Either way, the mission is real and it is moving fast. So tell me in the comments, would you guys support President Trump sending troops into Mexico to crush the cartels? Drop your thoughts below, and I try to read all the comments that I possibly can. So my name is Tom, I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And folks, we're a growing channel, and every like, comment, and subscription helps us grow. So make sure you guys share. This is a huge story, because the Trump administration has begun final planning for a limited military incursion into Mexico targeting cartel leadership. And NBC News broke the story, citing multiple officials confirming JSOC, CIA, the military, Pentagon, you name it. They're all in coordination. Check this out.
Would include American troops and intelligence officers on the ground striking drug labs and cartel leaders south of the border. This would essentially open a new front in the president's military campaign against cartels, which is thus far focused on strikes against alleged drug-carrying boats. Well, on Saturday, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth announced what appears to be the 15th boat strike in the Caribbean. Following all of this, Courtney...
Leave it to NBC News to say that they are alleged. Anyways, 100,000 people are unalived a year, folks, from this stuff. 100,000 people. Under the plan, small U.S. Special Operations Team would accompany unmanned drone assets for surgical strikes on cartel compounds. The focus is leadership decapitation, ending the network that has funneled deadly poison to America's heartland. This is speculation based on what people expect to happen. That's not Trump's plan. He doesn't broadcast that stuff. This is speculation, folks. And Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum condemned the move as foreign interference, but Trump officials insist that this is an invasion, it's protection. The administration's goal is to defend our republic from transnational crime networks acting as terror groups. And I'm not a big proponent for war, but I am a big proponent for people that are having our children get unalived at these record numbers. The NBC News report cites a White House memo invoking the War Powers Resolution and formal foreign terror organization designations against the cartels, opening the door for armed engagement. And conservatives in Congress are lining up behind Trump. Senate Majority Leader John Thune called the cartels an invading army killing our children. He's not wrong. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that this marks the end of appeasement. He's also not wrong. And this is where everything changes. Military planners now face a deadline. The National Security Council meets Tuesday to finalize engagement options, according to sources. Training exercise already underway in Arizona and in Texas. If Mexico cooperates, joint missions may follow. If not, unilateral action remains possible, and America has the guts to do it. So tell me in the comments, guys, do you believe America should act alone if Mexico refuses? Let me know your thoughts, because your opinion does matter. So if you got value from this news update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. 100,000 kids a year, people. 100,000 people a year. I don't think there's anybody watching right now that hasn't had a person in their family impacted by the poison that they're bringing across the border. Whether it was a long-term problem, I can't say certain words on these platforms, or it was somebody that had a bad thing happen to them immediately because of what they're putting in these things. So this is more than a border operation. It's a turning point for our nation and our republic. For years, Washington ignored the poison crisis killing our citizens. 100,000 people a year, over 1 million. It's been long overdue. And President Trump promised to fight it at the source, and he's doing exactly that. Mexico may protest, but sovereignty ends where mass death begins. Every family mourning a lost child knows that this isn't aggression, it's defense, and it's long overdue. History remembers leaders who act when others hesitate, and if the mission succeeds, America will prove that strength and resolve still define us as a nation. And guys, I'm Tom with the Daily Beltway. Stay informed, stay patriotic, and stay free, and God bless America. And you guys have a great day. A Democrat insider just admitted on tape exactly what the left plans to do to America's Supreme Court. And it's worse than anybody imagined. Veteran strategist James Carville didn't hint or speculate. He flat out guaranteed that Democrats will pack the Supreme Court with 4 new justices the moment they win in 2028. This isn't a conspiracy theory, folks. This is a Democrat operative with 4 decades of experience revealing their blueprint to seize control of our judicial system. He even said that he'd bet serious money on it happening. The same court that protects your constitutional rights, the final check on government overreach, Democrats are planning it to pack with partisan loyalists who will rubber stamp every radical policy that they dream up. And here's a plan that they just admitted to. Now, I want you guys to let me know in the comments, what do you think Democrats' real motivation is for packing the Supreme Court? Let me know your thoughts, and let's go ahead and get into this. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And if you guys are new here, please hit subscribe, because every like, comment, and share helps this channel grow so we can keep bringing you the facts that the mainstream media doesn't want to touch. Let's go ahead and get into this. It's Carville saying that. It's crazy.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. A Democrat is going to be elected in 2028. You know that. I know that. The Democratic president is going to announce a special transition advisory committee on the reform of the Supreme Court.
What do you think about that? Do you think that'll happen?
That's the president's warning on a filibuster. He's telling Republicans, do it now, change it now, because his warning is this is what Democrats are going to do. Blow up the filibuster, change the number on the court, do the whole thing. There are a number of Democrat voices the last few years who have been saying this prominently. It's not just James Carville. We think about former Attorney General Eric Holder. A number of sitting lawmakers have said they want to change the makeup of the court. It's something I asked Justice Barrett about in a recent interview, and she said, listen, a lot of this stuff is set by the Constitution, but not all of it. Right. But judges should be free to do their jobs without worrying about political interventions.
So if the president's saying Democrats are going to blow up the filibuster if they win back Congress anyways, so Republicans might as well do it now, get the shutdown over with, and use it while you can.
Exactly. But as Senate Majority Leader John Thune said, the votes aren't there in my caucus. They all know what it's like to be on the minority and to only have that filibuster as your only tool, and they don't seem willing to give it up.
So a lot of people don't agree with what the Supreme Court's doing with the Trump rulings. They're reasserting executive control, and they rule against Trump just as much as they rule in favor. That's crazy stuff. So that's Carville himself, not a rumor. He says a Democrat president in 2028 will form a blue ribbon committee to recommend adding 4 new justices, and a Democrat Congress will pass that. He even says that's going to happen, people. They're going to win, and they are going to do it. So let me ask you, how is this democracy? I want to know that. How can one side rewrite the rules of justice just because they lost a few rulings? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments, because conservatives are calling this a direct attack on independence of the judiciary, the very institution that protects our republic from political overreach. And Fox host Shannon Bream called it a judicial coup in plain sight. And Republican senators like John Thune and Ted Cruz says this confirms the left's real plan: eliminate the filibuster, pack the court, and lock in power for generations. And this is where it all changes. The last time a president tried this was in 1937. That was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and even his own party revolted over it. And public outrage stopped it cold back then. So here's my challenge to you. Do Americans today still have the same backbone to defend our system? I want you to comment, stand for 9 if you believe 9 justices are enough. Because history shows once you open that door, it never closes. And if you got value from this report, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. So this kind of keeps me up at night. I don't think either party, Republican or Democrat, should ever have unlimited power. I think both parties should have an absolute check on it. I think a 2-party system's kind of rough. We should have multiple parties just to keep everybody else in balance. But the Supreme Court is there to control the president if he goes out of power, to control Congress when they go out of craziness, and to control these district judges when they make rulings that are insane, or you have states like Illinois, California, and others that are just doing insane things. The Supreme Court is the last institution standing between American citizens and unlimited government power. When Congress passes unconstitutional laws, the courts strike them down. When presidents overreach, including Trump, even if you don't like it, the court checks him. When states violate violate your rights, the court will protect you. That only works if the court remains independent from partisan politics. Democrats packing the court or Republicans packing the court with 4 additional loyal justices does not restore balances. It destroys the concept of judicial independence entirely. And future courts would just reflect whoever last controlled Washington, which is what we don't want. Your constitutional rights would depend on election results instead of foundational principles. Our founders designed our republic with separated powers specifically to prevent any faction, Republican, Democrat, whatever, from seizing total control. And Democrats are openly admitting they want to break that system. That's a problem. We need to believe them and act accordingly before it is too late. So stay vigilant, stay alert, and stay informed. God bless. So it begins. The new mayor of New York City just announced he's giving the government power to seize your property. This isn't some conspiracy theory. It's actual policy from a Democrat socialist who just won America's largest city. Zohran Mamdani says if you own a building and don't make repairs fast enough, the city will take over your property. They're going to double your fines, triple your penalties, and if you can't pay up, guess what? They're going to assume control. Property owners are already fleeing to other states, and real estate investors are pulling billions of dollars out of New York. But what they're hiding is going to shock you. This isn't just about some landlords. It's about what happens when government decides private property rights are negotiable. So I want you guys to let me know in the comments, do you think the government should have the right to seize your private property, or is this unconstitutional overreach? Let me know your thoughts below, because what happens next changes everything for property owners nationwide. Let's get into it. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And folks, we're a growing channel, and every like, comment, share, and subscription helps us keep bringing you the truth that the corporate media will not touch. Let's go ahead and get into it. This is the moment Zohran Mamdani said it himself, promising to seize properties from so-called negligent landlords. Check this out.
Starting on day one, we will expand the city's special enforcement programs, doubling fines for hazardous violations and tripling them for conditions that are immediately dangerous.
That sounds great on its front, but what did he campaign on? Socialism and taking over and making free things for everybody. And how do you do that? You take buildings over. You take over shopping centers. You take things over. Keep watching.
And when a really bad landlord, like this guy, refuses to fix it, the city's going to step in, make the repairs, and send them the bill. If that doesn't work, the city's taking over the building. We're putting the worst landlords out of business.
Sounds great on the front, folks, but that clip went viral for a reason. It wasn't about enforcing safety codes or fixing broken buildings. It was about consolidating power. Mamdani said the city would foot the repair bill, and if owners didn't repay, the government would simply take their buildings. And think about that. The city becomes both the judge and the owner. And that's not reform. That's socialism with like a nice coat of paint all over it. And Mamdani's defenders argue that this is about helping tenants in unsafe housing, which again sounds great because there are a lot of really bad landlords. But critics are pointing out that it could push small landlords out of business, invite corruption, and crush investment in a housing market already gasping for air. And the Real Estate Board of New York called it government overreach on steroids. And if they're saying that, it's got to be bad. But even moderate Democrats are privately panicking because they know that, what happens when a city government controls real estate. Higher cost, worse maintenance, and fewer homes. And let's be clear, New York's housing problems, they are real. But replacing private ownership with political control is not going to fix them. So what's next? Lawsuits, capital flight, and another chapter in the slow motion collapse of America's biggest blue cities? I want you guys to comment freedom first if you agree, or city control if you think this is the future of urban policy. And this is where everything changes. If this socialist experiment takes root in New York, you can bet progressive mayors in Chicago, Los Angeles, and Seattle, and everywhere else in the country where they're at, will be doing the same thing. So if you got value from this update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. This is how it begins, guys. This is how it starts. He campaigned on this. And this story isn't just about New York. It's about America's future. Property rights are the foundation of personal freedom. When the government decides who deserves to own property, liberty becomes a privilege, not a right. Look at Illinois and the Floyd cards. Our republic was built on ownership, responsibility, and free enterprise, not forced redistribution. Mamdani's plan doesn't solve housing. It's weaponizing it. And how many times if they don't do a payoff or they don't do something, and then the board just doesn't like the landlord, they just get rid of them. This is why mayoral elections matter and elections matter in general. When you vote for policies that sound compassionate but punish success, you end up with bureaucrats managing your life from City Hall. And if the story opened your eyes, guys, make sure you share it, because what's happening in New York will soon happen everywhere if we don't stand up. Again, this is Tom from the Daily Beltway. Stay informed, stay free, and never forget, once government takes property, it never gives it back. Look at history. God bless. She's finally calling it quits, everybody. After nearly 4 decades in Congress and 2 turns with the Speaker's gavel, Nancy Pelosi announced she will not seek re-election. The media is calling it a graceful exit, but for millions of Americans, it's the end of an era defined by elitism, insider deals, and one family getting rich while the country sank deeper into debt. She says she's passing the torch, but that's not even the worst part. Her retirement video was shot like a campaign ad, not a farewell, and it's raising more questions than answers. Did Pelosi really step down voluntarily, or was she pushed out of the way by a party desperate to escape her baggage? Let me know in the comments below. Has Pelosi's time finally come, or will her influence still haunt our nation? Let's go ahead and get into this. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And if you guys are new here, please hit subscribe, because every like, comment, and share, especially share helps a lot. It helps grow our channel and get the truth out. So Pelosi released a 5-minute video from her San Francisco home saying it was time for new voices. But for many voters, this is simply the final act in a career built on control and wealth. I'm not going to give you guys a 5-minute Nancy Pelosi thing. I'm going to cut to a news video talking about it. But during her 37 years in Congress, Pelosi became the face of the Washington establishment. 2 impeachments of President Trump, record-breaking fundraising, and a net worth that grew from modest to over $250 million through insider trading. And that's a long way from public service. Check this out.
Yeah, you as well. Here we go now to Washington. The former House Speaker, leading congressional Democrat Nancy Pelosi, has announced in a video a moment ago that she will not seek re-election. She has represented San Francisco for nearly 40 years. She's 85 years old. The history she has in Washington speaks for itself. She has been a long-range player in the Democratic Party and a
That was incredibly nice of Fox News to be that nice to her. So for decades, Pelosi sold herself as a progressive icon, but her record tells a different story. Wall Street bailouts, backroom healthcare deals, and years of protecting donors over taxpayers. When she dismissed bans on congressional stock trading by saying, "We're a free market economy," Americans heard what she really believes, that rules are for you and us, but not for her. And this is where everything changes. Democrats are now without their most powerful fundraiser and enforcer. Younger progressives in San Francisco are lining up to replace her, and that means that the party's internal war is about to explode. And Pelosi's exit doesn't heal their divisions, it exposes them. So let me know what you guys think. Will Democrats move further left without Pelosi? I think that's pretty obvious. Or does this retirement open the door for more centrist rebuild? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And then if you guys got value from this news update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. She needed to go a while ago. Pelosi's departure isn't a moment of grace, it's a moment of reckoning. She spent her career building a machine that served herself, her husband, and her donors, while ordinary Americans paid the price. Now that machine is running out of power, and her legacy won't be in the Affordable Care Act or the bailouts. It will be the corruption that she normalized, the public trust she helped destroy. When an 85-year-old politician finally walks away after decades of profits and power, that's not courage, that's survival. And she probably waited so long so they wouldn't send her to prison. And our republic deserves leaders who serve the people, not the market. And if Pelosi's fall marks the end of that era, it's a good day for America. So as always, stay informed, stay free, and I'll see you guys on the next report. God bless. Mexico's new president just called the war on drug cartels fascist. And that's not a word you would expect to hear from a world leader describing a campaign against some of the most violent organizations on earth. In her first major security speech, Claudia Sheinbaum said fighting cartels through military force is permission to unalive without trial. And critics are calling it a surrender speech, one that could reshape the entire U.S.-Mexico partnership on the border and trade. But wait until you guys hear what she said next. Her comments went viral across Mexico and the U.S., sparking outrage from Trump allies and conservative lawmakers who say Sheinbaum just sided with the wrong team. So let me know this in the comments. Should America trust a partner that labels justice as fascism? Let's go ahead and get into this. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway, and I'm also a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. And if you guys haven't yet, please make sure to subscribe, because every like, comment, and follow helps us grow this channel and keep bringing you folks the truth. And also share. Share's a huge deal. So this week, Mexico's new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, caused international backlash by calling the war on cartels fascist and outside the law. She made the comments during a conference in Mexico City, insisting that the military action against the cartel violates human rights. I have her video of her saying this. It's not translated. It's got the captions on it. Check it out.
Regresar a la guerra contra el narco no es opción. No es opción. Primero, porque está fuera del marco de la ley. Todos estos de la derecha que se llenan la boca de las palabras Estado de Derecho y defienden la guerra contra el narco, pues la guerra contra el narco está fuera de la ley, porque como lo dije o lo he dicho en varias ocasiones, es permiso.
The war to fight the narcos is outside of the framework of the law.
Para matar, sin ningún juicio. Y eso en México nadie o muy poquitos están de acuerdo. Está fuera del marco de la ley. Y segundo, no sirvió de nada más que para aumentar los homicidios en México y el nivel de violencia. Entonces, estos llamados autoritarios, porque son autoritarios, es ir hacia el fascismo.
Anyways, her words hit like a shockwave on both sides of the border. Here's the problem. Cartels aren't just drug traffickers anymore. They're billion-dollar paramilitary organizations running regions larger than some U.S. states. Calling the fight against them fascist doesn't sound like leadership. It sounds like retreat. And this comes after one of the mayors who also went against the cartels got unalived and like on the street in front of everybody. And conservative lawmakers are furious, saying Sheinbaum's rhetoric undercuts years of progress in cooperation with Washington. President Trump's 2025 policy labeled cartels as terrorist organizations, unlocking the power to strike their supply chains directly. Now, with Sheinbaum dismissing that fight, the question is whether Mexico still intends to stand beside America or step away from it. And this is where it all changes, because behind the scenes, U.S. intelligence officials say cartel influence inside Mexico's politics has never been higher. If Mexico scales back enforcement, those networks expand. Meanwhile, deaths in the U.S. keep climbing past $100,000 per year from the poison that they're letting across the border. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Do you think Sheinbaum's plan is peace or surrender? I'm pretty sure it's surrender, but I want to hear your thoughts on that. So if you got value from this news update, please tap subscribe. My opinion is next. This is bonkers. Sheinbaum's comments reveals a dangerous misunderstanding of what real fascism is. True fascism isn't law enforcement. It's lawlessness. It's when criminals run communities and citizens live in fear. President Trump has made it clear America will defend its people, its sovereignty, and its border, even when others won't. Mexico's new leader may think words can stop cartels, but history, it says otherwise. So this isn't about ideology. It's about reality. And reality demands strength. And as long as the Trump administration stands for order, America's republic will not bow to chaos. So guys, thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates that cut through the noise. And as always, stay vigilant and God bless. We want to say thank you to everybody. That's going to wrap up this week's Daily Beltway Weekly Recap. If you guys missed part of the stream, don't worry. You guys can rewatch it right here or catch every segment individually on YouTube, our Facebook, our TikToks, everywhere. This week gave us a lot to think about, from Border Patrol ambush in Chicago and the ICE arrest in Broadview to Carville's court-packing prediction and that emotional message from World War II hero, plus some cartel strikes. These stories matter because they show exactly where our republic stands and where it's heading. Thank you for all the comments and all the chats and the super chats that came in. We're going to try to do this from now on, like every week at Sunday at 6 o'clock right here. It's like a full recap of the week's most important reports. So make sure you guys hit subscribe, follow, send stars if you support real news that puts Americans first. Again, guys, this is Tom, and thanks for watching. We're going to see you guys next Sunday night.